People of Reddit with security cameras. What is the creepiest thing you've caught on video? Part 3. Not creepy, but caught two guys standing on my driveway firing shots into my neighbor's house across the street. My mother showed me the security cam at her work, and there were things being thrown off of shelves in the kitchen when nobody was there. A neighbor searching my trash can. My uncle has cameras inside his house because works a lot and his adult son is a little shit. Uncle has caught son on camera hosting a party with high school kids in attendance. He called the cops himself to break it up. The son knows the cameras are there. It's just blatant little shittery on his part. Finally, one I can comment on, haha. This happened about 3 to 4 years back. I was in this pretty short street. About 25 houses, I'd say. We had recently set up cameras because we were having some really bad issues with this neighbor. Most people on the street knew each other. We'd all barbecue and party together. And we all collectively hated this family. Their son, who I will keep his name secret, was one nasty son of a bitch. He's pulled a knife out and pointed at me from 20 feet away or so. Tried to get his dogs, 2 big pit bulls, to attack me. And we were pretty sure he stole our quad. I won't divulge into that. I've already gotten far off track. But we set up the cameras solely because of him. So one night, he snuck out of his house and came over to ours. Had no clue why he was coming to our house. But whatever. He gets about halfway up our lawn. Then stops. Notices the cameras. And does some weird creepy smile thing where he tilted his head a bit. He ended up leaving and we decided not to do anything. Because we were moving very shortly anyway. Supposedly he's also moved. But out of state. Hope to never see that delinquent again. Kids are home doing virtual school and one said that they saw a stranger standing in front just staring at the house in the middle of afternoon. That night I reviewed the video. The stranger parked his car a few houses down the block, then walked through the grass and just stood in front of the house looking at the main entrance for a good 3 minutes. Then he ran back to his car and left. My tenant coming inside while I wasn't home and snooping through my drawers until he found some money. And stealing it. Had his 8-month-old daughter in his arms the whole time. 2. A co-worker of mine had a man show up to his house naked, ringing the doorbell because he was robbed and they stole his clothes. I can only imagine what that was like for the dude. I feel bad. Well, today I caught 2 random adult men in my backyard measuring the fence or something while I was home alone. As a girl, you could imagine all the scary scenarios going through my head. Luckily they left right when I saw them on the security cameras. Guess they were done measuring the fence. And I told my dad. Turns out it was just the neighborhood gardeners and they called my dad to let him know they were there. But no one thought to let me know they'd be here? Way to give me a heart attack. Another time, I caught some random woman also in my backyard, but this time, this creep was trying to look into the windows. I felt like my soul left my body when I saw her. She looked mad and she wasn't alone. Some guy was waiting in a pickup truck for her. She left. Never saw her again. A neighbor got me on camera some years back doing a knock-knee zombie lurch while dragging an axe behind me. He had been talking about getting motion-activated cameras installed for a year or so. And one day I saw them being installed. So I went out at 3 a.m., the witching hour, in raggy clothes while dragging the axe down the road. He saw it on the cameras the next day and had a good laugh about it. He guessed correctly that it was someone pulling a prank. But never realized it was me. I live in a rural area with houses on acre lots, so there's just a dozen houses on our small street. About a year ago, on a winter morning at 7 a.m., my neighbor, a respectable senior guy who I know, casually strolled across my backyard with his dog. It happened only once and I never asked. At around 2 a.m. a woman ran across our front yard and into the little cove that is our porch. She ran right next to the house. Past our front window. Past the door. And then hugged the wall and ran past our garage. It was like she was sticking as close to the building as possible. She looked possibly scared in the video. Hard to tell, but her mouth was open a bit. This is very abnormal since the front door is about 40 to 50 feet away from a sidewalk or road. Absolutely no reason for anyone to be that close. Only thing we could think was a vehicle was following her, and she cut across our yard and into the porch area to try and keep out of view, and then kept on running because we light up our front yard due to previous burglary attempts. I guess this isn't the creepiest thing, it was just hella weird. I own a house that has poles to hold up the roof of my patio, and I went to check my camera one day and I saw these 3 teenagers, 2 girls and 3 boys, doing crap on the poles, and I end up seeing the 2 girls dancing on the one to the far left at the front and the 3 guys throwing money. I didn't believe and thought my husband had messed with my cameras as a joke again. He did it for April Fools. I go outside on my porch and take a good look around, and I found a $20 bill. I mean, I'm not complaining. I made $20. My parents live just outside a town of about 400 people. So fairly remote. One morning they woke up and saw an alert from their motion-activated camera that is placed to see the area outside their bedroom. I should mention that their bedroom has a sliding glass door with a screen door that they sometimes leave open on hot nights. The camera footage shows a cougar walk up and stop about 10 feet from that sliding glass door. And the worst part is the footage cuts off before the cougar leaves. Crappy cameras. Just last week there was a dude jerking off in my front yard. I saw a bear dragging a deer once. I live in the woods though. I haven't seen much in terms of creepiness tbh. Just some people stumbling drunk and whatnot. Although someone did unload a significant amount of stuff from the back of a cab in front of my window and the take it next door. It wasn't creepy, but it was a WTF moment, because if they wanted to they could have literally put it directly next to their own staircase, but they added an extra like 10 foot in by putting it in front of my window. I came in to open the retail store one morning. Lights were on. Radio was on. And the TV was on. There were beer cans in the bathroom trash and put out smokes on the floor. I went back to watch the security tapes, and the manager brought a woman in at midnight and they smoked and drank and then went into the bathroom together and came back out with less clothes on. Needless to say, the manager didn't have a job by noon that day. I installed a ring cam and lock on my gate as couriers and postmen kept leaving it open and my dogs would run down the street. Nothing too out of the ordinary for the first year. I just bought a solar panel for it, as I always would forget to charge it. Installed it and let the solar panel charge up the camera from flat to see how much charge it would give the camera. Worked like a charm, and in the low amount of sunlight it got in the morning during winter was more than enough to keep the camera going non-stop. Literally 2 days later I get home from work and my camera is missing. Ripped off the post and solar panel destroyed. Check the footage. Someone came up and ripped it from the post, put it in their pocket and walked off with it. However, the person that stole it was an ex-work colleague who looked directly into the camera and then stole it. Previous footage shows his car driving past the house and parking down the road. Haven't worked with the guy for over 2 years and I never told him where I lived. Anyway, now that guy has a criminal charge against him and I've got cameras and floodlights absolutely everywhere around my house. Caught my mom's boyfriend physically abuse her. Box her in with his body. Mocking her for calling him a bully. Etc. I had just woken up when it happened and didn't realize what went down until my mom showed me the video footage. This wasn't the first time he had done this, and it's not the worst thing he had done. We're trying to get rid of him, but we need a 30 days notice and a secure way to make sure this doesn't go down with a murder-suicide on our hands. So we have 2 cameras at back of my house. 3 people show up with horse masks on and spent probably 15 minutes pretending to be horses. Then left a small bag of meat with flowers in it. My wife was so freaked she didn't sleep for a week. 'Twas the night before Christmas and all through the house not a creature was stirring. Well, except for my pothead neighbor who screamed ho 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 mother \s and proceeded to take a nap on my lawn. In 6 minutes he awoke and looked around to find it was dawn. My mother stood above him, hose in hand. The man felt he was at sea though he was only on land. For she sprayed him with the level on powerful and he screamed like a cat. As I watched the recording in the morning I thought to myself, my, what a twat. You know that Wunksco trailer in the beginning where the terrorists shot THA Cam in the entrance? Yeah, that's my house that happened. I have a paranoid neighbor with a collection for guns and he decided that we were getting in the way of his work. Yeah, still scared after what happened. Guy walked up to my front windows. Put his ear against it. Then walked away. I see him around the neighborhood sometimes. Not sure what his deal is, but he hasn't come to my place again so far. My ex-wife sneaking up to the front door and peeking in the window. At 10 p.m. one night. Right after divorce was final. Probably a full 4 minutes worth. Ordered 3 more cameras from Amazon that night. Breaking the rules. But I caught something that ended up being surprisingly wholesome. I have a brick house. And the mailbox is bolted to it. Somehow one side managed to come loose. So it had been dangling for a couple of weeks since I just didn't have a chance to get to the hardware store. I get home from work one day and it was bolted back properly. I checked to see if there was a note or anything. But nope. On the one hand, I was really grateful. But on the other, was kind of spooked/wondering if I was totally losing it and maybe it had never come loose after all. Also, I've kind of half kidding half serious thought my house was haunted. So this definitely added to that feeling. A couple days later I remembered I have cameras and could check to see if they caught anything. Turns out an older guy with a tool belt just casually walked up. Fixed my mailbox. And left. He wasn't there for more than 3 or 4 minutes. Eventually I was able to piece together that one of my neighbors was having some roofing work done and this was one of the workers. I guess he had just seen my mailbox dangling for a few days and decided since I wasn't making any moves to fix it, he would. I hadn't been living there for that long. And it really warmed my heart to know someone would go out of their way to perform a simple good deed for a stranger. Thanks for watching.